Well, as long as I can remember, my mom has been doing art. She's been making dolls since I was tiny, and I grew up remembering every year her making dolls for Red Earth, and I can remember her teaching me how to bake at a really young age. I'm talking like 3, 4 years old, just teaching me my way around my kitchen and teaching me how to, start adding ingredients together and how they would taste. And when I was like 12 or 13, she started helping me with dream catchers and helping me with jewelry. So I really grew up in a really arts-friendly household, which was really nurturing and really a wonderful thing to grow up in.
Well, I've always been artistic minded. I'm a musician. I play the piano and other instruments, so I've always loved the artistic side. And my grandmother was an artist, a visual artist. So I think when Rachel was 1, I just was looking for some hobbies and some things to do. And I love dolls, always loved dolls. So I started making Native American dolls of the 5 civilized tribes and Yuchi and some Plains Indians dolls. But what I also love is history and culture. So on each doll there is a history of its nation. Now this one is Muskogee Creek. And this particular doll is a historic figure. It's Opothiahola, who was one of the chiefs during the removal. He was chief of the northern tribes in Alabama and the Upper Creek tribes. So every doll that I make, and I've made over 1,000, has a bio with a name associated with its tribe or nation and some culture and history written in there. So it's educational as far as aesthetic.
Okay, so I'm a 2-time county pie baking championship winner. And I did that when I was 13 and 15. I beat out my mom and several other women at the adult division, which felt awesome. My dream catchers are beautiful. They're all handmade. They are very aesthetically pleasing instead of the traditional style. They're a little more modern. My jewelry, as you can see, I'm wearing a piece. It's kind of chunky. It's also a little more modern. It tends to be Indian inspired and modernly activated, I guess.
I think it is important because it is part of my history. My four times great-grandfather, Patty Carr, was an interpreter for the Creek Nation, interpreted when they went to Washington, D.C. to negotiate treaties. This was in the 1820s, prior to the removal from southeastern United States. So through his twin daughters, and Rachel's named after one, his twin daughters were Ariana and Ariadna, and Rachel is Rachel Ariana, so I named her after that. He was eventually removed. He was a large landholder, had, I think, a plantation in Alabama, was well-to-do, had worked with the federal government, and yet he and his family were removed along with all of the other Muskogee Creeks and the 5 tribes when they were removed in the 1820s, 30s, and 40s to Indian Territory. So knowing that, some of the descendants were Supreme Court judge or something like that in the House of Kings. And when the Creek Nation established in the Okmulgee area, part of their nation, my grandmother was an artist. My father's whole career was working with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It's just something that is all in my ancestry from my father's side. I think preserving the culture, the history, and appreciating it, embracing it is very important, and to educate others today who may not have the benefit of the history and ancestry in their family. So many people in Oklahoma, though, have that history and they have that culture. So it's good to keep it alive, to keep it in a positive vein, and to promote who we are.
I try to represent a Native American heritage in my daily life because I feel like it's something that needs to be represented. A lot of people have that outdated Native American cliche in their head of the teepee and the horses. Even though we're in Oklahoma, of all places, you'd think people would be more educated, but a lot of people aren't. And so I feel like it's very important to remind people that Native Americans are a very current thing. We are very, very much the same as any other educated person. We are very much the same as any other successful person, as any other entrepreneur. We are anything that we want to be and anything that we can dream of being, just the same as any other person. We're just Native.